Hello everyone. I'm here with one more lesson for this week. Unit 6, Lesson D. We're back to reading. So, before we begin, the impact of technology. What do you think that phrase means? Impact can mean a couple of different things. As you'll see, it can mean an effect, the impact of watching too much TV is that it can make you have a headache. Looking at a computer for too long, the impact can be that it makes your eyes hurt. That's an impact. Impact can also mean like force. Like in a car accident, maybe it's a low impact accident, or there was great impact and they really crashed and the car was totaled or something like that. So impact could mean a couple things, but the title of the article we will be reading today is The Impact of Technology. So when you think about the impact of technology, do you think it's going to be effect or force? What do you think impact will mean? Think about that. So before we read, while you think about the title, I wanted to ask the two questions that we have at the top here. Number one, how has technology changed transportation? How has technology changed transportation? And number two, how has technology impacted the way we communicate with others? Okay? How has technology impacted the way we communicate with others? So take a moment, pause the video, and write down maybe 2 ways you can think of that technology has changed transportation, and 2 ways that technology has impacted the way we communicate with others. I'm not going to answer those for you right now, but go ahead and pause the video, write down a couple ideas, and then we will get started reading, okay? So first, the tip box. You see the red outlined box here. Let's read it out loud together, okay? The first paragraph usually identifies the topic, and the last paragraph often repeats the main idea. The paragraphs between provide details about the main idea. Before you read the entire article, skim. Read the first and last paragraph and the first sentence of the paragraphs in between. This will give you an overview or general idea of the article. We've talked about skimming before. Skimming is just a way to, as they said, kind of give you an overview or a general idea about something without having to read every single word. Okay? So this is a very helpful skill, especially when you are learning a new language. So with that, I'm going to read the article out loud. However, if you would prefer to hear the recorded reading, you can always scan the QR code. And again, if you have questions about how to do that, please message me or email me or call me and I will help you learn how to do that. But I will read it for you now. So that's another option. All right, so here we go. The Impact of Technology by Caitlin Houston. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. While you listen, of course, as always, underline any words you are unfamiliar with, any words that you don't know. And whenever we're done reading, please pause the video and go look up the definition. You can use Google, you can ask Siri, you can, if you absolutely have to, maybe use Google Translate, but try to only save that for a last option, okay? All right, now back to the article. The Impact of Technology by Caitlin Houston. Changes in technology can change people's lives. The development of transportation, trains, cars, and planes, provides us with one example. Before the 19th century, most people lived within walking distance of work. In the 20th century, many people began to commute between home and work because trains and cars connected cities with suburbs. Today, because of airplanes, many people travel great distances for their work. Some, because of the internet, don't need to travel at all. Technological changes have also impacted the media. For example, how we get the news. Newspapers were once people's primary source for the news. In 1965, 72% of Americans reported that they read a newspaper on an average day. By 2005, that number was down to 50%. In the past, a common way people got news was by listening to the radio. I suppose nearly everyone had a radio then. By the 1950s, television was overtaking the radio. Now, even the number of people watching the news on television has declined, dropping from 60% in 1993 to 28% in 2006. So what's the latest source for news? The web. The number of Americans who use the internet to get the news is increasing. Most people access the news on their smartphones. Media has also changed the way people get jobs. People used to look for job openings in the classified ads of a newspaper. Then they would mail an application through the U.S. Postal Service, now called snail mail by some. Finally, if someone was lucky enough to get an interview, that person would go to the job site. Today, people can find notices for jobs online and then submit their applications over the internet. The employer can even interview them over the internet using programs such as Skype that provide voiceover and video over calls. These changes save time for both the employer and the applicant. Another example of the impact of technology is how people pay for goods and services. Until the mid-1940s, people had to carry large amounts of cash in their purses and wallets. Then one day in 1949, a man named Frank McNamara took some business associates to dinner, but he left his wallet at home. He had to call his wife to bring him money to pay the bill. Mr. McNamara vowed to find a way to avoid carrying cash. Although some stores already had their own charge cards, there was no single multi-purpose credit card. A year later, he returned to the same restaurant with the same people, but paid with the credit card he had created called Diners Club. Today, people don't even need to carry a credit card. They can pay with their smartphones. In what other ways do you think technology may change people's lives in the future? Okay, let me check and make sure this is still okay. Great. So, that was the article. That was a long one. Go ahead and pause the video now to look up the definition of any words that you were unfamiliar with. All right? When you're done, let's look at the questions on page 77. So I will first read the questions, then you will pause the video again and write out some of your answers, and then we will discuss answers afterwards. So here we go. Number 1, in what 4 areas does the author provide examples for how technology has changed people's lives? Number 2, what statistics does the article give to support the statement that the number of people who get their news through the newspaper has declined? Number 3, according to the author, nearly everyone had a radio in the 1920s. What phrase does the article use that tells you whether this is a fact or opinion? Number 4, sometimes text provides examples that help us understand the meaning of a word. What example does this text give for media? How about for transportation? Number 5, the article says some people refer to the U.S. Postal Service as snail mail. How are snails and the U.S. mail similar? Number 6, do you think the author believes that changes in technology have a positive or a negative impact on people's lives? Cite evidence from the article to support your opinion. So numbers 1 through 5, there should be direct answers in the text. Number 6 is kind of your opinion, but you need to have support from the article. Give specific examples in the article as to why you think one thing or another, positive or negative. Okay? Pause the video, write down some responses, and then we will discuss. Okay? Here we go. Number 1. In what 4 areas does the author provide examples for how technology has changed people's lives? Let's go back to the article. 4 examples. So, the first is obviously transportation. The second is media. For example, how people get the news. But now we could also include, I think this article is maybe a little bit older, but I think now we could definitely include social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all those things. Number 3 would be jobs, the way people get jobs. Number 4, how people pay for goods and services. So the development of credit cards, that's a huge change. Okay, here we go. Number 2, what statistics does the article give to support the statement that the number of people who get their news through the newspaper has declined? So statistics are numbers, percentages that have been, theoretically, they have been researched. Usually statistics give examples of broad, they try to tell you out of a large group of people, this percentage prefers chocolate ice cream, or this percentage uses Facebook. Just examples. You know what statistics are. Why am I even explaining? So let's look and see which statistics give support to the statement that the number of people who get their news through the newspaper has declined. So let's find the paragraph that talks about newspapers, okay? There's newspapers, and it says, in 1965, 72% of Americans reported that they read a newspaper on an average day. By 2005, that number was down to 50%. And I'm sure it's down even more today. But those are the statistics that they give, okay? Number 3. According to the author, nearly everyone had a radio in the past. What phrase does the article use that tells you whether this is fact or opinion? Okay, so let's skim the article for the word radio. It's right after those statistics we were just looking at. It says, in the past, a common way people got news was by listening to the radio. I suppose nearly everyone had a radio then. So which phrase in that might indicate that this is an opinion instead of a fact? If someone says, I suppose, nearly everyone, but especially I suppose, that means they do not have empirical evidence of the truth of their statement. They suppose means like, I guess, I think, probably. Now, it may be true, but what is shared in the article is, in fact, an opinion. Okay? Let's keep going. Number 4. Sometimes text provides examples that help us understand the meaning of a word. What examples does this text give for media? For transportation? Okay. The example, when we see the word media, first it says, technological changes have also impacted the media. For example, okay, I'm so sorry. For some reason, my phone stopped recording. So, we were on number 4. So the text provides examples for media. The example given for media, when we first see media in the reading, it says technological changes have also impacted the media. For example, how we get the news. So that's the example for media. And then for transportation, it says the development of transportation, trains, cars, and planes, provides us with one example of how changes in technology can change people's lives. Okay, so those are the 2 examples. Number 5, the article says some people refer to the U.S. Postal Service as snail mail. How are snails and the U.S. mail similar? So you have to know what is a snail. A snail is a creature that's maybe about this big. They are slimy and they have a shell on their back and they move very, very slowly. So the idea is that the U.S. Postal Service delivers mail as slowly as a snail. That is compared to email, which is instant. So that's why, that is how snails and the U.S. mail are similar. Okay, and finally, do you think the author believes that changes in technology have a positive or a negative impact on people's lives? Cite evidence from the article to support your opinion. Okay, for this one, I would like this to be your homework. Number 6, go ahead and comment on the YouTube video and let me know what you think. Do you think the author believes that changes in technology have a positive impact on people's lives? Or do you think the author believes that changes in technology have a negative opinion? whatever you think the author believes, make sure you have evidence from the article to support your opinion, okay? And finally, if you would like to do more, you are welcome to do the exercise here about building vocabulary. This is a great exercise where you look these words up either on Google or in a dictionary, find what part of speech they are, and then find a definition that fits the context, and then one other definition. Again, that's bonus, extra, but you can do that. And then another extra bonus, if you'd like to, is answer these questions. And please feel free to comment on the YouTube video with those, or you could even make a video and share it in the WhatsApp group for us to know what you think, okay? In fact, I would really like that if you wanted to share videos with your answers, okay? All right, that's it for this week. Next week we'll have a whole new set of videos. All right, take care. Bye.